यशोदानन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना यमुनातीरवनचारी जयो राधमाधव कुञ्जबिहारी नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे नमस्ते जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare Jaya Nisimha Jaya Nisimha Jaya Nisimha Jaya Lakshmi Nisimha Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Prabhupada Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः वञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्वेत गदाधर शिवासारि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, so today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are reading from 4th canto, 1st chapter, 22nd verse, and the chapter is called The Creation of the Fourth Order. Sorry, this is the name of the canto, The Creation of the Fourth Order. And we will have the verse. Okay, so you can chant. Apsaro Muni Gandharva Siddha Vidya Dharo Ragai Vitaya Manaya Shasas Tad Ashrama Padam Yayu Apsaro Muni Gandharva Siddha Vidya Dharo Ragai Vitaya Manaya Shasas Tadashrama Padam Yayu Apsaro Muni Gandharva Siddha Vidya Dharo Ragai Vitaya Manaya Shasas Tadashrama Padam Yayu Apsara Muni Gandharva Siddha Vidya Dharo Ragai Vitayamanaya shasas tad ashrama padam yayu apsaro muni gandharva sitha vidyadharo ragai Vitayamanaya shasas tad ashrama padam yayu apsaro muni gandharva Siddha Vidya Daroragai. Vaishnavis? Vitayamanaya sascha Tadashrama Padam Yayu Apsaro Muni Gandharva Siddha Vidya Daroragai Vitayamanaya sascha Tadashrama Padam Yayu Apsaro Muni Gandharva Siddha Vidya Daroragai Vitayamanaya sasas Tadashrama Padam Yayu Apsara, heavenly society women. Muni, great sages. Gandharva, inhabitants of the Gandharva planet. Siddha, of Siddhaloka. Vidyadhar, other demigods. Viragai, the inhabitants of Nagaloka. Vitayamana, being spread. Yasha Saha, fame, reputation. Tat, his. Ashrama Padam, hermitage. Yayu, went. Translation of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. At that time, the three deities approached the hermitage of Atri Muni, accompanied by the denizens of the heavenly planets, such as the celestial beauties, the Gandharvas, the Siddhas, the Vidyadharas, and the Nagas. Thus they entered the ashram of the great sage who had become famous by his austerities. Purport: it is advised in the Vedic literatures that one should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of the universe and the Master of creation, maintenance, and dissolution. He is known as the Supersoul, and when one worships the Supersoul, all other deities such as Brahma, Shiva, appear with Lord Vishnu because they are directed by the Supersoul. I will read again the translation. At that time, the three deities approached the hermitage of Atri Muni, accompanied by the denizens of the heavenly planets, such as the celestial beauties, the Gandharvas, the Siddhas, the Vidyadharas, and the Nagas. Thus they entered the ashram of the great sage who had become famous by his austerities. So, before I start, I would like to ask for your blessings so that I can speak something meaningful this morning and I can purify my heart from all unwanted desires and please my Guru Maharaj and all of you by speaking and repeating the great glories of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Before I started with some point regarding the purport, I just wanted to catch up a little bit on the situation that is described here. We had very beautiful lectures in the past days, and I think already like at least a week that this discussion is being spoken. And this chapter, another name of this chapter, the first chapter actually is called the genealogical table of the daughters of Manu. So here we are speaking about the daughters of Manu, and I wanted to speak about, so we have Akuti, we have the daughters of Akuti. This chapter is speaking about Svayambhuva Manu. So Svayambhuva Manu is the first Manu created from Lord Brahma. So how many, do you all know how many Manus are being created at the beginning from Lord Brahma? No. So 14. So there are these 14 Manus, and at the present age we are in the middle. So right now we are on the 7th Manu, and I just want to repeat it. His name is Vaivashvata. So it's the Manu that we have right now, and this is the is in the middle, and every Manu goes through a cycle of 71 ages, and each age is composed of 4,400,000. So each Manu go through 71 of such cycles, and this is only one of the Manus. So all 14 Manus together, they form the day of Lord Brahma. So it's a long time. And sometimes this made me remember, sometimes we think, at the end of Kali Yuga, actually at the end of Kali Yuga and the destruction of it we're not even going to change Manu. Actually, right now, Prabhupada explained, we are on the 28th Yuga of Vaivashvata Manu, and he has 71. So it's really incredible how tiny this universe is, and how time just spreads incredibly. The more the more living entities, they have higher and higher levels of consciousness. So we are speaking about the first Manu here, and he had different daughters, and so this chapter is speaking about the daughters of Svayambhuva Manu, and he had 4 daughters and 2 sons. He had 2 sons and 3 daughters. So he had the sons were Priyavrata and Uttanapada, that we will hear more in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the great soul. And as daughters, he has Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. So these are the 3 daughters, and Akuti is the daughter that this chapter is speaking about. And I really like to research these things. I thought it was interesting to share so that we can have a better overview. And so in this particular chapter, as you may remember, so we have Atri Muni and his wife Anasuya, and these are the daughters from Akuti, and they're trying to have a son. Ananda Krishna explained really nicely like the purpose of having a son a few days ago, and it's very interesting. And Srila Prabhupada makes a very nice comment on it, because he says that, for example, also Kardama Muni and Devahuti so is another daughter of Svayambhuva Manu, and Devahuti and Kardama Muni, they become very famous devotees. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think, why Atri and Anasuya, why they don't become such famous devotees? Just if you have any ideas. They're a bit technical questions. I think it's very interesting. Why? Okay, yeah, please.
Because they have a material desire.
Why is that so?
They're asking for a child like God.
And
like,
what is different from Devahuti and Kardama Muni? They also wanted children and son.
Yeah, but they wanted Krishna himself. They didn't want somebody as powerful as Krishna.
Yes, this is the point, and it's very interesting because it's to to desire something like Krishna. I was thinking about this point. It's like it becomes a material desire, you know, and to actually, you know, it's like a mindset, and that's why there is a big difference between devotees that they are personal and impersonal. The impersonal devotee, they want to become like Krishna, and that's why it's so material. It's a very material identification. But when one wants to serve Krishna, one just wants Krishna in their heart. One just wants to serve. One wants to just be with him and please him and develop that relationship, because Krishna is a person and he's not just some qualities that are present. So and then in this particular verse there are the three sons that are born, and so we have Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva. And do you remember the name of the sons that are born from these three deities? So we have Dattatreya, that is born from Vishnu, and then we have Soma, that is born from Lord Brahma, and from Lord Shiva we have Durvasa. And it's explained that Dattatreya comes with Garuda, so he's flying with Garuda. Durvasa comes with the bull, so he is an incarnation of Lord Shiva with the bull and the drum. And then we have Lord Brahma that comes on the swan. So we have this beautiful picture, I don't know if you've ever seen, of the swan and all this entourage that this personality comes with. And this is another interesting point, because when we speak about pure devotees, they always come with their entourage. And this made me reflect, because yesterday I spoke with a very great devotee. She's a great preacher from Kazakhstan, and she's making so many devotees all over those countries. And she was explaining how we were asking her, so what is, you know, the highest service for you? What is the highest goal? And she was explaining that, in fact, as we see that this great personality, they always come with their entourage, the highest thing is actually to pray as our Guru Maharaj, there are so many wonderful gurus in this present age that are pure devotees. The highest prayer is to pray to actually become an associate, to be part of this entourage they come with. So, and Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, he doesn't consider a devotee one just wants to serve him, but he considers a devotee one that wants to serve the devotees of his devotees. And so we have a great opportunity when we think about our Guru Maharaj or about these pure devotees to please allow us to be qualified to transform our hearts so that we can have some mercy to actually serve the entourage, you know, all this association of people that this great soul come with in this world. So this is a little point about this. So it will also be spoken in the next verses, in the next lecture. So it's good. And another thing that was interesting that I remember from Ananda Krishna's lecture was also that when we speak about the Srimad Bhagavatam, you know, actually the Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita and Mahabharata, you know, they all speak in such a ways that they may attract our mind, that they may attract our heart. So it's never spoken in a very, it's never boring. It's never too technical. There are always some stories, something that can allow us to remember. Like, for example, when we think about this fourth canto, you know, there are all the explanation of all these Manus and all these daughters and all these stories. And when we create an emotional connection with these stories, actually that creates memory. So it's not possible to remember something if there is not an emotional connection to it. And that's why they also tell the story with humor, like when they speak of how Atri pays obeisances to these three deities that appear. He was for 100 years on one leg, so he has to like jump and like walk toward and then like lie down. And it's funny actually to think like, you know, like you are in austerity, so you have no, you know, your body is suffering and you don't feel, you know, and actually the Supreme Lord comes and you have like to walk in a funny way and try to then start your service actually. So it's funny and it's interesting that this is the purpose of reading these books, that we may develop some emotion, we may find them interesting, like each word also in the purport of Srila Prabhupada is so interesting. And if we really approach the Srimad Bhagavatam with this mood, like to try to discover it, try to not just read and memorize and like not just for the knowledge, so that we can recite some shlokas, or that we can, you know, be more, you know, for our ego. But actually, when we invest the time into try to understand and engage our emotion, we actually purify ourselves. Something is happening in the heart. The fire starts to burn, and this is a very important point that I wanted to speak about. And when we do this process, it also reminded me like of the gopis of Vrindavan. What do they do? What do they do in Goloka Vrindavan? They gossip from morning till evening. They only gossip. Like that's the main business of Goloka Vrindavan, to gossip about Krishna. And this is the nature of the soul. We need to have something that we talk about. Like if there is not that interest, you know, into the Bhagavatam, if there is not that, if the emotion are not churned when we read Bhagavatam or we do service or we pray to Krishna, and everything becomes mechanical, eventually, because our soul is full of emotions, eventually we will have to look it from somewhere else. So then we see, you know, as the body, we start to speak about the weather. Oh, it's not so sunny. Oh, it's cold. And so many of that, because we need, the nature is not to complain, but our nature, it is to speak about something that creates some emotions inside. And this is the importance of bhakti, and the importance of not just going toward jnana when we study, but actually to go in this state where we can become involved with all our heart, so that when we serve Krishna, actually we are not just mechanically doing some action. And if we wait that, oh, only when I serve Krishna I put my heart on it, that also doesn't work, because then it's really much on the passion or in ignorance, because we are like, okay, I'm just all day just spacing out, and then when I serve Krishna, okay, now I'm a devotee, and I try to put the devotee mask on and be like, I'm a nice devotee, Hare Krishna, pay your business to everyone, Hari Bol, how are you? But then when we ask the people, how are you? Actually, our eyes are like wandering everywhere, and it's like, there is no interest, because, and the problem is that there is no interest in Krishna. The heart is not involved. We are always busy. There is always so much to worry about. And we don't need to use that as an excuse to be like, oh yeah, you know, his life, there are so many challenges. But actually understand, this is the nature of the soul. We are not spaced out because we are wrong or because there is something wrong with us, because it's the nature of the soul. If we don't find something that touches us, then bring us life, then there is no point of, then it's very easy to space out and to be, you know, not so interested. Okay, you sit in Bhagavatam, but let me do something else while I hear, what is this woman gonna speak about today? Like, what can she say? I know everything, and I've heard this story so many times, or I haven't, and I don't understand because there are so many names. So the mind immediately starts to find some different ways to tell us, you know, that it's not so important to be attentive right now. It's not so important to actually try to understand what she's talking about, try to understand, what am I doing here? Why am I sitting here this morning? Somebody forced me, or maybe, yeah, Advaita Sima asked me to give lectures, I couldn't say no, like, and so there are so many excuses that can tell us, oh, I don't have to be real. You know, I'm just, okay, I just come here, put my devotee mask, Hare Krishna, speak about nice stories, very nice stories. Atrimuni, Anasuya, they're wonderful Vaishnavas. Yes, maybe they're not pure devotee. They have material desires, what to do? We also have material desires, right? But actually, it's so interesting. It's so interesting, you know. They were so close to actually be pure devotees, but their desire was not pure. And we may make the same mistake, you know. We may make the same mistake. I want to serve Krishna so much, and then we just, like, you know, because we have this envy in our heart that will try to make us feel like, oh, if I become a good devotee, then Krishna will like me. And this is the same. This is the same. This is also material desire, because Krishna doesn't need us to be perfect. Krishna doesn't need us to be like him. And now we come to the points I actually wanted to share today from the purport of Srila Prabhupada. So the purport is that it is advised that one should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he speaks about how important it is to take shelter, because constantly our mind is actually filled with material desires. And if such great personalities, you know, they manage to fall down or to not completely invest in pure devotional service, what to speak of us? It becomes so difficult to actually develop anything that is through the pure devotional service, because we may think, you know, somebody cut his finger, okay, I'm gonna bring him a Band-Aid. Oh, I'm doing devotional service. I gave a Band-Aid to a devotee. So nice of me, you know. And it's like, this is not devotional service. This is compassion. This is still very nice, but this is not devotional service. Devotional service is something so high and so pure. Is if we read from Nectar of Devotion, there are 3 qualities: unalloyed, uncontaminated, uninterrupted. This is devotional service. Uncontaminated, there is no material desire. Uninterrupted, there is no stop. We don't take a break from it. And unmotivated, there is no motivation beside the pure pleasure of the Lord. So it is something so pure, and we have the blessing from Srila Prabhupada that in this life we can try. And another point was, like, you know, it's spoken that these 3 deities that appeared, Vishnu Tattva is 94% of the qualities of God. Shiva Tattva is 84% of the qualities of God, and Brahma Tattva is 85% of the qualities of God. And one time, Srila Prabhupada was giving a lecture, and he was explaining, if we want to go back to Godhead, we need to become 90% devotee, pure, you know, devotees of Krishna. And then he saw that the audience looked very discouraged. And then he said, okay, 80%, you become 80% fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, and you will go back to Godhead. And again, the devotees, they didn't look so enthusiastic. And then for the 3rd time, he said, okay, 70%. So even, you know, we don't need to even develop so many good qualities to become. So like at least 70% of your time, just be focused on serving Krishna. And then kind of was like, you know, nobody said anything. And then when Prabhupada was leaving, a devotee touched his dhoti, and he said, Prabhupada, but what if I can't even make 70%? And then Prabhupada looked at him and he said, don't worry, I have the backdoor keys. Just hold on to the dhoti. So much compassion. Can you imagine? So much compassion. Like, he promised if you chant 16 rounds every day, 16 rounds, it's not even, let's say maybe we practice 20%. If we chant 16 rounds and if we do Mangalarti, this is around like 20%. And then the 20% of actually just focusing on Krishna, to be uninterruptedly meditating on Krishna. And then there is the rest of the day, like that we are trying to do devotional service, but our mind is in so many places, in so many, on so many planets. Sometimes we are not even on this planet. Sometimes we travel and see, oh, what would be or how it was in the past. So we go in other dimensions even. So what to speak of being present, what to speak of devotional service, we are not even managing to be present. Sometimes when I ask to how are you, it's such a difficult question to answer. I feel like, oh my God, like, how am I? Like, doesn't matter. Like, I don't have time to think of it. We don't even have time to check on ourselves. How am I doing today? Just keep going, just keep serving, eventually I will get there. Eventually, where are you going? Like, we need to constantly check with ourselves. And this is part of devotional service, to check what's going on in my heart, which desires are going on. Anarthas, what are anarthas? Anarthas are unwanted things. So anarthas, they are not just some bad habits, or they're actually, when we desire something different than pure devotional service, this is anartha. So we are trying to actually engage our anarthas in Krishna consciousness. And it's difficult. It's very difficult to engage our conditions, ourself. And this is where comes the story I wanted to tell you today that touched me very much. I was hearing it a few days ago on Ekadasi. Achyuta Gopi, God's sister, she tells amazing stories on Ekadasi about Krishna. And she was telling the story of Krishna entering Vrindavan. And it was so touching because she was explaining when Krishna enters Vrindavan, so there are Krishna entering Mathura. So we have on the Krishna book this beautiful chapter that I recommend. It's short, so it's very nice to read, actually, Krishna book, to remember the stories that, again, to have some emotion that make us think of Krishna. And in this story, he was saying when he entered, the first was the washerman, so he was making the clothes for Kamsa. And he asked him gently, can we please take these clothes? And this washerman became so angry, so upset. He said, who do you think you are? To God, who do you think you are? These are for Kamsa. And immediately Krishna, because of his attitude being very, very puffed up, he didn't even have to take his Sudarshan chakra. He just moved he moved his finger, it's written. And in that way, the head, it's even said, the head was just removed from the body. It's very nicely written. The head was removed from the body. And then there are other devotees that they come, and so another person comes and you see Krishna is like, yes, I will give you the most beautiful clothes. And then Krishna goes to the flower man, and the flower man tells him, I will give you the most beautiful flowers. And in this way, he gave pure devotional service to all these people that came to serve him in Mathura. And this story made me think and made me realize also by hearing from Achyuta Gopi how when Krishna comes, when Krishna is present, when Krishna actually becomes present in our life, he doesn't want us to offer him anything else than what we are. So let's say, we have a particular occupation, we have a particular conditioning. Let's say I was training dance from when I was 5 years old. So like dance is part of my conditioning. When Krishna would actually appear in my mind as through my Guru Maharaj, through the blessing of the devotees, actually he is not going to ask me, can you please, go and conquer this area so that, all devotees can become, everybody can become pure devotee. He's not going to ask us something crazy. He's not going to ask us to do something that is outside of what we are. And sometimes we make life so complicated. We think like, we need to find a job, a particular skill. We need to develop some particular ways to do things to please Krishna. But actually, it's like if you would actually be there, you wouldn't ask anything different than what you are, than who you are, like he did with these devotees when he entered Mathura. Yandra, you just ask, oh, this is a flower man, please offer me your best flowers. This is a washerman, please offer me your best clothes. This is the story of the lady that offered him these oils. Just offer me the best oils you have. Just offer me the best you have, and I will give you pure devotional service. And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Krishna doesn't ask anything else from us than who we are, than what we naturally have. So in that sense, it's so simple. Just check with yourself. Okay, what are your desires? Okay, I really like flowers, or okay, I really like to clean, or okay, I really like to speak about Krishna. Just do what is really in your nature, and this is gonna guarantee the fact that Krishna will accept it fully, because Krishna accepts our heart. So if we can just do, maybe somebody likes drawing, it doesn't have to be anything than who we are, than what we already are. And then in that way, actually, we develop humility, because we understand, okay, this is my condition. We develop a relationship with Krishna. We can tell him, okay, Krishna, this is my condition, man. I'm not a sadhu, I'm not a pure devotee, I'm not a brahmana, I'm not a kshatriya, I'm nothing actually. I don't even have a qualification to even be called a shudra, because shudras are very expert in their handcraft. They're very expert in what they do. So they have a special expertise. And in this Kali Yuga, we cannot even consider ourselves shudra in one sense, because we are not expert in anything. The mind is so, I don't know if you ever try to be expert. The minds forget. I studied for so many years some particular type of healing. I studied for so many years some coaching. I studied for so many years a particular type of dance, and then just wait a few months or a few years, I forget it, and it's like, okay, but then still, Krishna, this is in my imperfection, in my imperfect state, this is what I remember, this is what I can do for you, and at least let's try to do the best. That's all he's asking, actually. He's just asking, just do your best with what you have. You don't need to become the preacher of the world. You don't need to become the best scholar. You don't need to become anyone. Just do your best. Can you just give me your best? Because when we go to the altar, when we serve, when we clean the temple, when we serve the devotee, Krishna is not gonna see what you're doing for him. He's gonna see what you're holding back. That's what he's gonna see. He's gonna say, is he really giving everything? Then he can see, oh no, actually, I'm keeping some energy for later, because later I want to go out for a walk. So I'm not giving my full energy right now. And he sees that. And that's what he sees, actually. He sees, what is my devotee holding back from me right now? And how can I be there for him so that he can find joy in actually serving me? He's so concerned, he's so personal. He's in our heart, he knows absolutely everything, and especially he knows what we are holding back. And this is why things don't go the way we want. Because if they would, we would be so disconnected from Krishna. But he knows, if he goes for a walk later on, maybe he's gonna really get in Maya, We don't know what he thinks. But what I can say and fully confirm is that in my life, things never went the way I wanted. And sometimes even going for a walk is so difficult, because sometimes a storm comes and I can't even do that, or something. So he sees when we are holding something back, there is some purification going on. So we are constantly in that stage of purification, just because we are holding back. We are holding back from fully doing something with our whole heart. So Krishna is very merciful right now. I think 2 bracelets fell from Narasimhadev's hand. So I feel like it's also confirmation, and in my personal life, that I'm holding myself back. And that's why I'm not fulfilled. That's why after I do something, or after I am, I'm not giving fully myself. And if you just would, and I know if I would just do even one service, even offering Gilamp every morning, I do worship at home, even that little moment that you offer your full heart, but there is always, the mind always goes somewhere else, or we are too busy to actually be fully present for Krishna. And this is, personally, is the main lesson that right now it's really bothering me. It's really sad that we don't have time for Krishna. We can chant, we can do so many services, but do we actually have time to fully invest our heart, to fully give our heart to Him? And it's the reality, and this is the main problem that we have. We don't give everything, we hold back. And that's Prabhupada in this purpose said, even though, the purpose speaks about, the verse speaks about the deities appearing and the Lord appearing, he makes the point, when the Lord appears, we need to fully take shelter. And fully take shelter means that we put our full heart at the lotus feet of the Lord. And I brought also this beautiful book. It's called Sharanagati from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and it's also in German, so there is both English and German translation. And it explains the first step of surrender is actually humility. And humility is a big word, oh, I'm not humble. But it's not about being humble. Yes, it is about being humble like a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. But what it actually means, and that's why it's the first step to surrender, is to actually be vulnerable toward Krishna, to be vulnerable, to fully open our heart, to be fully present with Him, fully honest. I'm not trying to be somebody I'm not. I'm not trying to be a devotee. I'm not trying to be the most fallen. I'm just myself, Krishna. These are all my problems. These are all my conditioning. This is why I'm so fallen. And I do have, maybe I also think I do have some good qualities. And this is what I would like to offer you. Please accept me. And Prabhupada tells often this word, please accept me. When we chant the holy name, please Krishna, accept my service. Please accept me. This is the purport of chanting Hare Krishna. Please, Krishna, accept my service. Accept me as at your lotus feet, because he loves us as we are, and but still we still need to make the effort to give Him our best and to ask, please accept. This is the best I can do. Sincerely, so. We can see there are different moods how we can do this, even this simple prayer. And sincerely is the key. To not think like, oh, this is my best, but actually this is not my best. Actually, I just want to use my energies for other things. And I'm not there anyway. I'm not there to be so dedicated. I'm not there to, I'm not a pure devotee. Do you think he doesn't know? It's like he knows it much better than us, but he just wants to see that humility in us, to be like, okay, I first accept where I am at. I first accept who I am. And I accept that you don't care about the service, you care about the love, and I also accept that. So I'm still going to give you my very best, because I know that you want that I do my very best, even though you don't. He doesn't need any service. So even though he doesn't need anything, he still wants that we do our best. So again, I accept that you want me to do my best. Please accept it. And if he does, and if our prayer is so sincere, it's really incredible. It's really incredible, the reciprocation in the heart and the strength that we find into serving others, because then we are not serving others from the mask of, okay, I'm a devotee, how can I serve you? And, I do good sadhana every day, all our stories. No, we're just present. We're just honest. We know we are lacking. So if devotee may criticize us and tell, we are able to take the criticism, because we know it's Krishna speaking, and Krishna is trying to make us develop maybe some better quality allow us to give even more to Him. And then we can truly please a Vaishnava. It's actually a beautiful thing. I don't know if it ever happened to you, that you actually did something and the Vaishnava you were seeing was really touched and pleased from your service. Again, it's an amazing experience. And again, this is just Krishna's mercy. When we truly touch up the heart of a Vaishnava, when we do it from a sincere place, we're not doing it from our mask, it's an amazing experience. And then it's like, yes, this is what I signed up for. I signed up for this loving relationship. I signed up for these loving exchanges among devotees. We read every morning Nectar of Devotion. I signed up for that. I signed up for the nectar of devotion. I didn't sign up to become just a soldier, you know. Actually, Prabhupada in one purport also said, connecting to this verse, that the Manu, so the 14 Manus, they are the first progenitor of this world. And also in English, the word man comes from Manu. And he was making this point that even in Christianity, we have, it says God, human is like God, and actually it's very much connected to the Manus, actually. And in this way, forgot the point I wanted to make. Yeah, so this is what we are trying to do. We are trying to serve the Lord. We are trying to serve the Lord, and we don't need to try to be anything more than that. He gives when we're trying to serve, and it takes away when we're trying to use the mind, when we're trying to, explain things that are maybe beyond our level of our capacity. So it is a very humbling experience. But if we are first of all humble to admit it, then purification is not so bad. This is another thing. If you're actually humble about our shortcomings, and if somebody comes and point the finger at us and say, "Oh, you're such a," it's actually like, yeah, I wouldn't say I'm better than that because it's true to some degrees, and we are trying to, even in that lower state, even if everybody sees that we are fallen and rubbish devotees, then still I'm still keep trying to offer the best that we can, and in this way, please pray that we can please Krishna, please the Vaishnavas, and develop this deep relationship. They say anartha nivritti doesn't start unless we develop deep relationships. And this is another important information my Shiksha gurus told me. And that's why Grihastha ashram is a great purification, because it's the first time that one has such deep and intimate connection with another Vaishnava. And if one is not in Grihastha ashram, still try to have this deep, intimate relationship. Because I see, for example, brahmacharis that have been brahmachari for a long time, they have such deep, intimate relationship with other brahmacharis. Also women, there are, for example, these wonderful devotees in Golokadam, wonderful women, that they never married, they were always, and they have such deep relationship with other women, other gurus, like so deep, like a family member. So unless we have these deep relationships, it's also not possible to do the process of anartha nivritti. We will always be in our mind, and we will get smashed from time to time, but that's not anartha nivritti. Anartha nivritti starts actually when we open our heart. And that's why it's so important, this revealing one's heart in confidence and hearing one's heart in confidence from Vaishnava. This is the main point. And also with Bhagavatam, we want to have an intimate relationship. We want to open our heart to Bhagavatam. I don't understand this point. How can I understand it? And create a relationship in this way in everything that we do. Everything is so personal. In the spiritual world, everything is a personality. So it's very important that there is this mood of how can I open my heart to everything that I'm doing, to my service, to my reading, to my studying, to develop vijnana in our heart, deep realizations. Only when we develop deep realization, we are able to not hurt others. Because if we stay on the mind, we may hurt so many people, we can commit so many offenses. And we should be afraid of offenses, but actually we should be afraid of being cold-hearted, of being always on the mind. Because if we are always on the mind, yes, we will make mistakes. We will offend others. Because we are not centered, so we cannot feel. Devotees are very sensitive because devotees, they are cultivating this process of opening their hearts. So when we are harsh toward them or when we are not careful, we may commit offenses because we are all in this purification of opening our heart. We are all in a very vulnerable state here in the temple. We are all vulnerable. We all want to try to love Krishna. So we all just need to be aware first of ourselves and then of others around and see, okay, when one is very stressed, to see with a compassionate heart, how can I support this devotee that is struggling? And actually feel the struggle, feel the pain. Because when we struggle, it is painful. And many times we don't need a fix. You know, sometimes, you need to maybe change ashram. No, just feel the pain. It's painful. We are far away from Krishna. It's very painful. We are overwhelmed with our mind. It's overwhelming. The mind is overwhelming. We should cry every day because the mind is so overwhelming. It's not allowing us to think of Krishna. It's not. And yeah. So this is my meditations about this verse. I hope you forgive me if I said something that was not proper or was not in alignment with Shastra. I'm happy to be corrected and to actually hear from you. So thank you very much. If you have any questions or chastisement or... Yes, for sure.
Björn Prabhu, wenn du so Batterien bringst, bitte. Vielen Dank. Thank you for the nice lecture. Thank you for giving your best, like you said. Okay. Wir warten einfach, bis es ausgeht. Thank you very much. I like this point, how that sometimes we are holding back. And, if one is honest with himself, then to some extent, we are always holding something back, right? Like giving some space, or in German they say give some air, Luft, so that one can breathe. So I like this point. And I just have one question about where did you read this or hear this about that we don't come to the point of anartha nivritti until we develop a deep relationship? And that deep relationship, just to make sure, it's in relation to other devotees or in relation to Krishna?
Where I read that?
Yes.
So there is this... me too. There is this guru, Chaitanya Chandra Charan Prabhu, that gives lectures in Russian, and he speaks a lot about this. And Malika Mala, she's a disciple from him, and she makes courses for devotees about this very point. And I'm not fully sure from Shastra exactly where this point is written, but I will definitely try to research. But on a practical level, we can see that all the books we read, Srimad Bhagavatam, they're all deep relationship. We don't hear about impersonal relationship. We hear such deep relationships. So I think it's also probably a realization from these great Vaishnavas that the reason why they were so close to God, it's because they had such intimate relationship. And it says Krishna always come with his intimate devotees. So if you actually want to be part of the family of intimate devotee of Krishna, you need to have an intimate relationship with his devotees. It's not possible otherwise. And so this is what I heard from these Vaishnavas. On a Shastric level, I don't recall particular shlokas about it, but I would say the stories that are told in Chaitanya Charitamrita and Bhagavatam, they make this point.
Yeah, definitely. They
Yeah.
stress the point of about the importance of having deep relationships with the devotees is just the level or the time of this relationship in relation to the 9 stages of spiritual development that I found it interesting. In order to maybe like until you have a deep relationship with a devotee or devotees, and then anartha and vritti will come, because naturally there will be challenges, right? Like
Yes.
there will be familiarity. We get close together, and the chances of being hurt is higher. Yeah.
Maybe you will find more references.
Yeah, I'll ask. I'll ask the scholars around. It's not
Yeah.
because I find it not true or I doubt your sources. It's just because I'm curious about knowing more about it.
Yeah, I'm also. It would be interesting. Very
Sure.
interesting.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mataji, for your lecture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a question, because you said that's a topic for you as well, that that our problem is that we don't give everything and we are holding back. And yeah, for me, I did not even consider it a problem before, because I was not aware of it. So how can I be then aware of, now that you were talking about it, what I am actually holding back? Because sometimes I think I'm really serious and I give everything, but yeah, of course that is not the case, but how then I can get out of this illusion?
Mm-hmm. So the question is, how can I be aware of this illusion that I don't need to be, that I'm holding something back when I'm serving Krishna, or?
And how then I can fix it, because I want to be
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is once you will be able to fully do that, it's very close to performing pure devotional service. But one becomes fully honest. One becomes fully honest about service, and because it's highly connected with relationship, it's, I would say, from the nectar of devotion, this developing intimate relationships. In this way, when one develops this intimate relationship, one can really see the shortcomings, and that's why it's called shortcomings. It means that you're coming short, right? You're not fully coming to that point. You're less, you're just trying. And it's still okay to try, but actually we can also try by doing our best. Yeah. So we keep trying, and ultimately we keep revealing our heart, especially to people that we feel they actually have a compassionate nature. They're actually happy to see us. They're actually happy to hear from us. And when we speak, if we are able to stay in a vulnerable space, you can research this also, how to be vulnerable, because we are all vulnerable to many degrees, when we try to open our heart. But there is also like a practical way to be honest, to be sincere. There are actually, it's very interesting. There are practical ways that one can do that one can learn how to speak from a vulnerable space, and that help us to develop humility, so that then we can actually see what's going on. It's not easy to see, and that's why we need help from senior Vaishnavas, that they can tell us, I see, and usually, we can also say, okay, in which guna are you performing devotional service? In ignorance, so it means you start that you don't have energy, and you finish that you don't have energy. In passion means that you're very excited, but then after you finish, you're so finished. Or you are in sattva, that means that it doesn't feel so good at the beginning, but then it inspires your heart. And that's the thing about humility. At the beginning, it doesn't feel good to reveal the heart. It doesn't feel good to say, actually, I'm going through so much pain. Instead of finding love when I chant, I feel so much pain and frustration in my heart. and then reveal the heart. It doesn't feel good, but ultimately, at the end of the activity, at the end of the service, even if we feel tired, we offer Krishna. Krishna, I feel very stressed right now. I don't know if I'm doing it right. I don't know if I'm doing wrong. Please accept that what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to do from my best. Even if it's not fully our best, but we can try to do our best. And then keep this process of revealing our heart and to develop some realization about yourself, develop some realization about your service, and keep following what makes your heart happy, not just at the beginning, but actually, especially at the end. This is the gift of very important step. If you are happy at the end of the service, that's a very good sign. But if you feel exhausted after the service, that means that there were some masks on the way, and again, yeah. So we can keep trying it still. Yeah. I don't know if it fully answers your question, but this is my humble experience that I'm sharing with you, and from what I heard from Nectar of Devotion and what I observed from my mentors and gurus. Yeah. Okay. Janardanari. Hare Krishna.
What does one do if in trying to... Hare Krishna. What does one do, Mataji, if in trying to give oneself completely to Krishna by pursuing a particular service or acting in some other capacity, there are circumstances that prohibit that, and that could be subtle circumstances as well, such as devotee expectations or something of that nature, either subtle or gross, that's restricting a devotee from doing that. What does one do in that circumstance?
There will always be expectations from others and inappropriate situations to be able to do that. There will always be. This is the nature of this world. There will always be such. Let's say there is never a favorable situation to actually, love Krishna in this world. There will never be. Like, there will always be something. Maybe there is no time. Sometimes just there is not enough time that one can have a honest conversation. Maybe it's expectations from others. Maybe it's the environment. It doesn't allow one to be fully. So we need to be honest, again, with ourselves. We can keep going like that. So always putting our, mask. Okay, I need to get this done. I need to serve. I need to do this. We can do this for a long time. But then, ultimately, who is not going to be happy is not going to be the others. It's going to be us. Because when we put a mask, it's actually very comfortable for others. They also don't have to take their mask off. They also don't have to be honest and vulnerable. So but when we do it ourselves, and it's a bold thing to do, actually, to be humble. It's very empowering because it's very bold to be like honest where I am at. Not on a, I don't know the English word, but in a sincere way. Like if you're honest, and we develop this when we are alone. So all this, like if when we are alone, we are able to be vulnerable with ourselves and with Krishna, then this will give us strength to keep being real, even when the external circumstances, they will not allow. Because it's very difficult. It is. I see it in myself. It's. I went through a lot of crisis this January. After second initiation, I thought, oh, now I can get closer to Krishna. I can get on the altar. And that was so difficult because the closer I was trying to get physically to Krishna, the more far away I felt it in my heart. And I felt all these masks. I felt like I wanted to be a good devotee. I'm like, Krishna, I'm trying to be a good devotee. And I went through so much pain because I was trying to be a good devotee. I want to please others. I want to be a good devotee. And it was shocking. I had some panic attacks. I had some intense physical experience where I was so unfulfilled and unsatisfied to even think to wanting to please others and Krishna. It was so painful that I had to make a choice, and I had to be honest what's going on in my heart. You know, I can't just keep trying for something that's not what my heart is saying. I was really, really covering, you know, the call from my heart. I was really putting a big wall. Now I can be a good devotee. Now I can, you know. Doesn't work. It didn't work, and I had to receive quite a lot of. We even wanted to move to the temple. You know, I thought, now, you know, I have a nice service. I can move to the temple. The heart is very clear. The heart, you cannot cheat it. You cannot cheat your heart. You cannot cheat Krishna. Krishna is seated on the heart. If you do something that is not true, honest, coming from deep realizations, coming from deep understanding, in alignment, the body is going to show it first. You're going to get sick often. You're going to get frustrated often. Second thing, relationship are going to get super hard. Relationship going to get hard. You're not even going to be able to just tolerate yourself. Like, there's going to be so much frustration with oneself because we are trying to do something that's not in alignment with our purpose. And it's painful because one is like, so then what is it like my purpose? And then Krishna is like, finally she's asking, like, this is the mood when we read Bhagavatam, when we approach others, to be humble. What is my service? Okay, this is not working. This is not working anymore. And sometimes we need to go through a lot of pain, but we don't have to. If we actually are able to develop some humility, we don't have to suffer so much. We don't have to struggle, go through all these struggles with other people, with services. If you're actually able to be humble, we are able to see the guidance externally. We're able to see the best thing to do in every circumstance. Because we are honest, we're able to be present. So if we don't know what is the best thing to do, we can just ask. My Guru Maharaj always say, devotees come to him, how can I serve you? How can I, please Krishna? Just ask your temple president. It makes it so simple. It's that simple. We don't know what to do in this situation. A devotee comes to us, is struggling, the situation is uncomfortable. Just be honest, I feel very uncomfortable right now. I don't know what is the best thing to do. I feel overwhelmed. Or we are able to actually see this devotee may be struggling, and then we are able to see, okay, I can see this is happening. How can I best serve you? To actually ask. I wish in my temple years somebody would actually ask. Is there something that, we can do to make you stay here longer maybe? So that, and so many devotees leave because nobody asked them, what's going on? What's going on? Without judgment, without trying to fix it, without trying just to see what's going on. And this is a great responsibility from senior devotees, to first do it with ourselves and then to actually ask, how are you? And actually be interested. Is there anything that I can do to support? Is there anything you can do to serve you? Is there anything that I can do to make you feel... But we can't do that. We can't do that if we are not, first of all, honest with ourselves. Are we rightly situated? Not, externally, of course, but in our heart. Are we centered? Are we here? If we are not here, then this is the most important thing. If you're not in our heart, if you're not centered, if you're not present with Krishna in our heart, if we're not aligned to his guidance, to his instructions, through the knowledge that we have received, then this is the main concern, let's say. This is the main concern. Because then we cannot be there for others. Because we are too busy. The mind is always busy. So if we are not present, we can say, how are you? And then, just think about the things I have to do. And other people are speaking. And then I'm like, Yeah. And one, of course, many devotees live like this for a long time. Many devotees live like this. And it's actually the culture we created in ISKCON. Wherever you go, there's always this Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. And it's very sad. Like, nobody's here. It's very rare. When we see devotees here, usually they're gurus. Pure devotees. It's very difficult to be there. But at least we want to take the mask off. Take the mask off. And even if you're not humble, just be a little bit honest. And I don't know if, again, I'm answering your question. I think you were maybe more specific about a situation. So I hope.
No, thank you very much. It's very good. Particularly with the analogy of the mask, I think it's very helpful in devotees trying to be honest with themselves about where they are. But I'll finish with a more difficult question, and that is, these things happen. This happens in ISKCON all the time, so I think it's best that we discuss it. So what happens if the sources that they're seeking for that advice conflict with what they're feeling in their heart they should do? And just more practical advice, I mean, if the circumstances, do they try to change the circumstances, however that, and what that might entail?
Yeah, I think you said it. Usually we try to find solutions when we feel, so if somebody says something and I don't feel right, but then we go immediately into, how is it going to happen? We go too far. But actually, if we actually stay there and be like, okay, Prabhu, what you just told me, let's say an example, what you just told me is doesn't make me feel good. Somehow I doubt it. I don't fully understand it. Can you help me to understand it better? Because it agitates me. It doesn't resonate. It agitates. If we can just be present, because if we then go immediately to the, how is it going to happen? And, all this mind level of, we are missing again the point. The point is just be there in the conversation, okay? This devotee told me, you need to wash pots every day, let's say. Okay, I don't resonate with it because my nature is different. And just to think that this is what I have to do every day, it makes me feel very uncomfortable. Is there a way, can we speak about it? Is there a way that we can find different, to just stay in the present, how is it feeling right now? And that's the importance of feeling, because if then, we know, right? If we start something in, it's a mode of ignorance, right? If we start something in a frustrated mode, we're just gonna end up frustrated, right? Because we are concerned ourselves. If we are starting something, maybe it is frustrating, but we are able to be honest, then we can go to Sattva Guna. Actually, that frustrating service can actually elevate us to a better understanding. This is often, in my experience, not the case. Usually when I start something, when I'm frustrated, I end up being more frustrated at the end because I haven't fully understood it. And because I'm not so humble, so it's very difficult. It's very difficult to do something that it doesn't feel good from the beginning, and then. So I would say the same thing. Just have the conversation in that moment with that person. Sometimes it happens even the guru, I realize even the guru can say something that we don't resonate with, and we cannot challenge him, we cannot tell him, this is, I don't feel this is right for me, but we can say, thank you so much. I feel pain right now. I feel that what you just said agitates me. It agitates the mind. I haven't understood it. Maybe we do need to take some time to reflect on it, to understand it. Maybe we need to ask then to the Shiksha Gurus, how can I understand it better? But if we don't understand it, and we already start to plan how to act on it, I would say it's like the mode of ignorance, start from frustration, end up in frustration. But if we're able to be humble, and so from that frustrating experience, sometimes it happens, we have challenging situation, but we're able to reflect on it and see the bigger picture. That frustrating experience, like my Guru Maharaj always say, challenges are stepping stone for success. And this is the nature of Sattva Gun. It starts, that is not so enjoyable, but we see the opportunity. But we need to, if we don't have the vision, at least we need to ask and fully understand somebody that has that vision. Right now, like I received an instruction from a devotee. She told me, you need to preach in Italian. And it's so frustrating, brings so much frustration in me. At the beginning, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do it. So I spoke to her again, I was revealing my heart to her. And then I understood, and she told me many times, I can see you, I can see what is best for you. And because I was able to reveal my mind to her, I also understood it, even though I'm not on her level. She's a very advanced Vaishnavi. And then when I actually did it, I felt immense empowerment and immense joy. But if I wouldn't have done that, and I would just be like, okay, now that's what I have to do, and just, it would have been frustrating, and actually never going in a better space. So I learned the hard way, and I think we are all learning the hard way, because actually once we are able to actually develop this humility, then it's very nice. When we are humble, devotional service is very nice. Because we know in Sattva Gun, things at the beginning are not pleasant. And this is how it should be. If it's uncomfortable, if it's too comfortable, then we're not really getting purified from it. If we're in our comfort zone and we're just doing things and it's like feels good, it's having a good life. Yeah, I mean, it's okay, but probably you're not, because the heart is full of emotions. Following Krishna's guidance and serving the Guru, serving the Vaishnava is something that is not easy. So if we don't have a little bit of fire burning in our heart when we perform service, it means that we are too much in our comfort zone. So there must be always some anxiety, some difficulty at the beginning, because otherwise it means we are not getting out of we are not growing. We're just, doing our thing, and it's nice, still nice serving. But it doesn't, we can do for some time. But then eventually we need to fully engage our talents, we need to fully engage ourselves, we need to give our best. And if we think about giving our best, we don't think about, we actually, if you would stop and just think, what would I do for Krishna from my very best? Immediately you can see something really special comes. Like something really special comes to mind. Because we know that when we want to do our best, immediately we try to see what are my best skills. What are my best skills? What did I learn to do best? And then it becomes very nice, because you're doing your best with what you got. And Krishna, all the qualities we have, Krishna has given them to us for one reason, to offer them to Him. And this is He has blessed, He has given us so much love by giving us these qualities, and the least that we can do is to give them back to Him. So, yeah, I hope this was okay. Haribol, I'm sorry, I went over time quite a lot, so I wish you a good breakfast and a wonderful day, and may you offer your full heart whatever service you will do for Narasimhadev today. Haribol.